Hi, this is Bobby G, and this is Bobby G's Big Stone ATX, an inspirational podcast about love and reoccurring patterns in our lives. And today I'm happy to have our guest, Wiley Ross.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming by.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely.
Wiley, let's start us out by telling us about that big stone moment in your life as a child. Who was that person that came into your life that encouraged you and loved you, and somebody just outside of your immediate family?
Well, I would say, I've had teachers, throughout my life. When I was a kid, I had no social skills. I was very shy. In fact, we saw, to give you an idea, when I was 8 years old, I had my birthday party at Fantastics Gymnastics, and I just wanted, it's just so much fun. I just want to have a sleepover there, and my gymnastics teacher said, Jody, which is my mom's name, he said, Wiley's a great kid, but that's an awful lot of arm and leg to get wrapped up into a ball, and so he was saying I wasn't the best gymnast, and but we had a party there, and I didn't ever want to have any attention put on me whatsoever, so we invited two girls to the party, Allison Landis and Alicia Smith, and then so when it was time for me to open up presents, everybody just exchanged presents. So everybody opened up presents. And so I was just like everybody else. And then my mom gave me stuff when I got home, but everybody exchanged presents. That way I wouldn't have any of the attention because I was extremely insecure and very, very shy. Like so much so that we saw a therapist about why I wouldn't talk and stuff like that, which is funny now. But I would say that early on, I had a babysitter named Casey, and she was actually the daughter of my actual babysitter, Joan Green, and so my mom worked for Special Olympics for 27 years, and so she would, when she'd have board meetings and stuff, Casey would watch me, and my mom remembers this one time where she came home and I had just gotten out of the bath or something. I mean, I was super young, maybe I don't know, probably first grade, second grade, and I came running. I just had my underwear on and this cape, and I came running through the living room, and then here comes Casey, and she's decked out. She'd made her superhero costume, and then she was the Blue Beetle, and it was all cardboard, colored blue and stuff. And Casey was she was very very gothic, very she wasn't probably very quiet and stuff, but great artist. And her sister, on the other hand, was valedictorian, very popular and everything. And so me and Casey, I guess, identified with each other that way. So at Jones, during the day, while the other kids would go out and play, me and her would go upstairs and just draw, and I remember she's like, "Well, I knew that you were, different in the way that I set this apple in front of you one time," and she's like, "Here, draw this for me." And I guess I looked at it for 10 minutes, and I was like, I can't, And she goes, "That's what I knew that you were doing, because you saw everything that the apple was, as opposed to just the representation of the apple, And I was like, "Really?" I was like, that sounds so cool, Casey. And she goes, but she gave me this little Yoda figure and everything. But she was my, she really brought me out. It made me feel like it was okay to be goofy and be weird, because I was so just sensitive to everything. And and my dad, growing up, he worked a lot. He was a truck driver, and so he wasn't around. So it was just me and my mom, and really Casey, and then there was a couple, Miss Smay, my first grade teacher, and Miss Ralph, my fourth grade teacher, really made me feel like that I wasn't so. I've always felt like an outsider. No matter what. I've always gotten along with all the different tribes, but never felt as though I had a tribe of my own. And so with them, and finally, moving to Austin is I've been here for almost 20 years now. I love it because I'm never the weirdest person. There'll always be somebody weirder, and I love that. And I consider Austin my home because the spirit of Austin, and it's a place where I actually have roots now, and I really, I think that those would be, but also, to be honest with you, as far as the love and connection thing, my mom, she was the one that, watching her selflessness with other people, and how much like a quick like story. Like so I had this friend in middle school named and he was we were he was I only had like two friends in middle school really, and he was one of them. And his mom, he lived down the street from me, and his mom had mentioned to my mom that she didn't think that she would have money for Christmas gifts, and she wasn't looking for any charity or anything. She just happened to mention it in a conversation, and his dad was locked up, and his mom was a nurse, and he had two younger siblings, and so my mom got the idea, like, well, went to our other buddy, and we got just some money. And we went to the mall, and we got like a Barry Sanders jersey. We got a family Y pass and a couple other things, and we put it in this big box, and wrote on the top of it "From Santa." Okay, and I knew that his front door didn't lock, so I knew when he wasn't home, and we essentially I did a B&E, like a breaking and entering, and just went in there and we put the box underneath the tree and then left. And the next day he comes running, and we're getting ready to go to my grandma's, and he comes running up, and he's wearing the Barry Sanders jersey. And he's like, yeah, I guess my uncle came by last night and he put all this stuff underneath the tree, like we got a Y pass or anything. But he goes, I was wondering if you wanted to go to the Y. And I was like, well, I can't, I'm leaving to go up to my grandma's. And so he goes, well, just call me when you get home. I was like, all right, cool. And he runs off, and my mom looks at me and she goes, that's why you do it. And to this day, I always remembered that, because how good it felt to do something like completely, and to this day he has no idea, and I would never want him to know that was us. But it was that the selflessness and putting, because it costs absolutely nothing to make somebody's day, it costs nothing to ruin it too. But you never know what somebody's going through, and like the cashier at a grocery store, and they could be teetering on that, that last little leg, and like you can be like, like, I love that shirt. And be like, thanks. And you never know if that was the one thing that just kept him going, one more day. And like, I just think that when you ask, how can I help, you help yourself. And I think that's what I'm here to do, is to make the world a better place. And I think art and music is the vehicle to get me there. But that's what I'm meant to do, is to help people. And whenever I create or paint or play music, that satisfies me to a certain, like, creating is compulsive to me. Like it's like almost like I have to do it. It doesn't matter what it is or the medium. I have to get it out. So it scratches that itch. But whenever I have a positive impact on somebody's life, that fills up like my soul tank. Like that makes me feel alive, and it makes me feel like it, because whenever you do something selfless for somebody and have a positive impact, it's a pure emotion. You can't buy it, you can't do anything, that you can never, taint it or anything. It's this pure emotion, and
it's an expression of love.
Yes, and love. It's this pure thing, and I'm so grateful that I have the capacity to recognize that and to be a part of that, and I just love it. Like, yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like, I took the scenic route around that, like an answer, but, to give you an idea. But yeah, so that was...
I'm glad we smelled the flowers. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I like that, the smelling the flowers, because I think that I love the simple pleasures in life. Like, I love soda, the way it tastes after you eat pizza. Like when you chug soda, I love that. Like, I love, things like this, and I think those are the things that give the flowers along the pathway of life their color or their scent, are these simple pleasures that, that you don't realize how much you miss them until you don't have them, and yeah, I like that expression. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
I
didn't mean to start crying in the first. But yeah.
Well, you were talking about your teacher, and that was, the whole idea behind the big stone is a memory I have as a child of standing next to this pond with the biggest stone I could manage held high over my head. And I dropped it in the water, and it splashed up and went kerplunk. That noise that it makes when the stone goes in.
Yeah.
And the ripples went out. And then there was 5 years later, I was going into my 5th grade class, and I was really shy and I was really insecure.
Yeah.
And, I remember at times being called out to read.
Yeah,
Class.
yeah.
And I was,
Petrified.
I would struggle through it, and I would stumble and freeze up, and school wasn't a great experience
Yeah, me either.
for me. And I had this 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Dravik, who just made me feel safe.
Yeah.
And she made me feel loved, and she encouraged me, and, she, like the ripples on the pond, I mean, she changed the trajectory of my life.
Yeah,
She made the world a better place. And it was 30 years later, another big stone was dropped, and this time it was this spiritual teacher that I had, Keith Miller, and he asked about the first person to come into my life, aside from my immediate family, and Mrs. Dravik's name popped into my head. And he encouraged me to write her a thank you note, and I did. And a couple weeks went by, and I didn't get anything back, and I was like that little insecure 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And I was like, did I spell something wrong?
Yeah.
What did I do? And a week later, I got a letter from her, and it was completely the opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, she was like, "Dear Bobby, thank you." She said that letter means so much to me, and she said it now resides under the glass
That's super
of
cool.
my office desk.
So she looks
She
at it,
was a
sees it every
principal.
day. That's awesome.
And
That's
it was
awesome.
Just, I love hearing what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
things like that, like I was when you talked about how you felt you're very insecure and very weren't sure of yourself and everything, like in growing up in high school, like especially high school, like or early part of high school, I was bullied a lot, got picked on a lot because I was so sensitive that I just wanted people to like me, and so people sometimes can exploit that, for negative purposes. But I remember, I think sometimes those wounds, in a weird way, a particular thing happened to me in high school that my freshman year that was so devastating to me as far as like the bullying type thing, where I would eat my lunch like in the bathroom, stuff like that, and it was so bad that like at the time I didn't think that I would be able to weather it, and I went through all this on my own because I didn't want to talk to anybody about it because I felt as though I would have to relive it when I would talk about it. But as time went on, I made peace with that, and now I'm grateful that it did happen. And the reason is because it gave me a unique perspective on what it feels like to be in those shoes. And if that hadn't happened to me, then I think I would be much more empathetic when it came to people getting bullied or people, sort of shitting on other people. And I think, oh, that sucks, and everything. But I wouldn't be so passionate about that's not right, and I gave, when my kid was in elementary school, the school asked me to do an anti-bullying speech, they told me to give a speech about following your dreams, and then and kind of tie anti-bullying into it, and I'm like wearing like a cutoff shirt and a chain wallet. I'm like, are you sure you want me to talk to these kids? And they're like, yeah. So they had I mean, I've played shows in front of multiple drunk people, everything like that, but I was never nervous as I was going at 7 a.m. into this library to talk to these 5th graders about following their dreams and anti-bullying. And so I'm sitting there, and I didn't cuss, thank God, during anything, that was a big thing that I was worried about. But so I'm sitting there talking to them, and they're all sitting in there, and I'm like, if you see somebody being bullied, you don't just walk away, you don't do anything, you go up, you put your arm around them, and saying all this stuff. And I'm looking around the room, and I see this one girl, and she's got probably glasses like this thick, so her eyes are just magnified, big Coke ball glasses, and she's sitting there, and she's going like that, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm reaching them, I'm making a difference. And so, and I had to, of course, to keep myself from getting misty-eyed there, but they asked me afterwards, they asked me to mentor this little dude, named and I don't get his name, but they asked me to mentor this little kid, and so you know, and the way he had a problem was theft, and he would steal things because he thought if he had things, people would like him more. And here's the thing. This whole time, I mentored this kid for like 2 years, and I never ever met his parents. His parents never wanted to meet me, and it irked me because I never loved anything more than myself till I had my child. And like, if there was somebody that was influenced my kid or hanging out with the kid, I would want to know who they were, and I would care about that, and like, but they never did, and so he basically, I had this idea. I was like, well, why don't we I'll do a mural here. I'll do it for free. I was like, we do it at school, and then he can help me do it, and then he can sign his name to the wall, and then maybe him doing that will take the place. Yeah, and it'll give him pride in that. And so I think it actually worked. And so we did it and everything, and he has his name on there, and afterwards, I'm walking with him, and he goes, hey, Mr. Wiley, I got you something. And I was like, oh, what is it? And it was a New Kids on the Block keychain. And he goes, do you know who that is? I was like, I think I do. I think that's Joey McIntyre. I was like, do you know who it is? And he goes, yeah, I think I do. And I was like, well, how do you know who it is? He goes, oh, it's my mom's. I was like, right. And I was like, is that where you got it? And he goes, yeah, I got it from my mom. I was like, all right, cool. Well, about a week later, I was like in his teacher's room, helping this other kid with something. And I happened to look around. I'm like, she's got a lot of New Kids on the Block stuff. And I was like, and I asked, and it dawned on me that it was probably his teacher. And I was like, I never ratted on it because I was like, his heart was in the right place, you know? And like, but yeah, like, but I think if what had happened to me hadn't happened, then I wouldn't be so passionate about that because like today, you know, you see the homeless people, and that's something that I'm passionate about too. Is like, because these people are people. They're not eyesores. You know, they're people, and they feel pain and everything. And you know, it's easy to look and judge somebody until you actually walk a little bit in their shoes. And I've found myself, like, I like Larry Bird for this reason. Well, among other things, but Larry Bird, he always identified with the worker people. Like he when he'd go to a restaurant, he'd go back and tell, you know, the cook, you know, great job, you know, and he identified with those people, and that's how I do too. I think it's so, I think qualities in somebody, like the fact that they like that's why I love underdog stories. That's what, like the Rocky movies. I mean, Rocky 7, for Christ's sakes, he's God knows how old, and he's fighting this actual fighter and going toe to toe, and I believe it. Like, they make me believe it because I believe in that. And he gives this speech that, like, no one will hit you, you know, no one's gonna hit as hard as life does, you know. But it's not how hard you can. It's not about how hard you can hit, but about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning's done. And man, dude, we watched that, me and Karma, and I'm sitting there just bawling like a baby watching this thing, you know. And it was a beautiful moment because I just like, yeah, there's so much that needs to happen, and I love trying to do something nice for a random person every single day, even if it's just saying, hey, great job on this food, you know, just something.
Cool.
Yeah,
a smile.
Yeah, just yes, that right. Is yes, it can go so far.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a successful encounter when I can walk away and I feel like the other person is shining bright.
Yes, you feel that,
I
like,
feel like I shine bright.
Yes, and
that's, you know, if you can. I was in a class the other day, and it was an early morning class, and I beeped the horn at someone in front of me to just move along.
Yeah.
You know, because so many times I think that somebody's just got their head in their phone. And she was, you know, she was upset about it in the morning. And she's a friend of mine, and I was kind of talking about why I thought what I did was right, and then I reeled it in a bit, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not making someone shine brighter.
Yeah.
I'm potentially making a day worse for someone.
That's really good.
I was like, maybe I need to lay off that horn. Maybe I need to, because who cares if I sit through a light? It really doesn't matter.
But to making somebody shine brighter, that's a really cool way of thinking about it and looking. I never really looked at it like it, but you're right. Like it's kind of every interaction that you have with somebody, you can either make it positive or you can make it negative, you know, and that's cool. Like I think a good judge of character or watching people how they interact with people who can't do anything for them. You know, like wait staff or favor drivers. You know,
Yeah.
how does this person interact with this person? And I think you can really see that. You know, and but that's really cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna actually start using that. You know, but although you know, I'll give you credit for it. Like,
The footnote, man.
yeah, yeah. Man, that's awesome. Yeah, so when did you like tell me about the spiritual teacher? Like what was that like? Like what was his whole thing?
That, you know, that was another stone that was dropped in my life prior to this. You know, when I was a young kid, was probably my best friend, P. Cooper. And the two of us, maybe he started reading spiritual things, and I started reading them. And it was when Amazon first came out. So I would read something, he would read something, he'd Amazon me a book, I'd Amazon him a book. I still have his office address on my Amazon
Yeah.
saved numbers, and he's been gone for about 10 years now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so he was just a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
He took his life, and he just really had such a great impact on so many people.
Yeah.
But
Well, I feel like he's here with us now. Like whenever I really do feel like that. Whenever
yeah,
you know, like
I feel like we carry people.
Yeah,
with us.
absolutely. I think that's how you live. That's how you're immortal.
Yeah.
You know, it's through the stories, like Big Fish, like that movie Big Fish. I really like that aspect of it. But yeah, please continue.
Oh, so anyway, it's the two of us were reading stuff, and then the kid's mom, Ellen, she introduced me to this person that she had met, Keith Miller. And Keith was a really interesting guy, and he was working with a group of us about what's your purpose in life, and what do you want to really do, and
What's your why?
yeah, and he, you know, I remember he had us write down on a piece of paper, like, put down a word, and I put down peace. And, you know, I went through some bumps in the road for a while, shortly afterwards, or a couple of years later, and, you know, went through a divorce.
Yeah.
And, really, all of us did some growing. But, you know, I feel like I am at peace today.
Yeah. Well, they call it growing pains. They don't call it growing joys. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like you have to kind of go. I mean, the sweet would never be sweet without the bitter. You know, and I think that when you look back on it, you're like you find the reason why. I look at every bad thing that happens to me. I look at what can I learn from this. You know, so it's not in vain really, and you understand like, well, this happened because of this. You know, so this could happen. This happened. You know, and I think that's maybe my own way of kind of making sense of why stuff like that. You know, the bumps in the roads happen. You know, and everything.
Well, I think that the world is, you know, a big mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that when something comes up, it's like, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
You know, if everything is where it's supposed to be in the universe, everyone is where they're supposed to be at that particular time, and I'm here, what can I learn from
Yeah.
it? I like the horn thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I need to lay off the horn.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a big horn person.
Yeah. But
But I would certainly make sure I felt like somebody needed to be in the game.
Yeah,
Wake 'em up.
yeah, yeah. No, that I really think it's cool, like how, because I do believe, I personally believe that there are no coincidences. I think that everything happens for a reason, even on the most minute level. And the way I look at it is it's kind of like, because I personally subscribe to the multiverse theory, where there's every single thing. Like if I chose to pick this glass of water up or not, like that, all those infinite possibilities of different realities exist kind of on top of each other, and they fractal out the way like roots on a tree would, or the way water does whenever it hits a piece of paper like that. And I think that we're no different, but it's kind of like the people that come into each other's lives. It's kind of the way a tapestry is woven, and like these strings kind of come in like that, and they intersect, and then there's some sort of thing that happens, or a relationship that happens, and it happens precisely when it needs to happen for that person to learn something or grow, and then they go out and they may intersect again, you know. But I look at it like that, and I look at hindsight as, you know, have you ever seen the movie National Treasure?
I certainly know the name, and
It wouldn't even matter if you've seen the movie. It's the opening credits, or what? So in the opening credits, it's saying the names are coming in and everything, and you're going through this. It looks like caverns and stuff, or like some cave and stuff. But then the camera pulls back, and you see it's just the cracks on the Mona Lisa. And I really like that visual metaphor because it kind of, you know, whenever you're so close to something, you can't really see it. But hindsight is whenever you look back and you look, you know, from the future looking or from the present looking back, you're like, now I get it. Now I understand why that was. And that's sort of hindsight. But I really like the way, you know, I mean, did you know, like, and there are reasons, like, I have an example. Did you know that you know, World War I started with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, okay? Well, the car that he was assassinated in, the license plate of that car read A1118. World War I ended with an armistice on November 18th, or on November 11th of 1918, or whatever day it was. So I think that's the right date. But the point is the date that World War I ended was the license plate of the car that it started in, and it's in the Smithsonian. Like that, you look up that. That to me is fascinating. For instance, there was. I mean, that's why I don't believe there's no coincidence. Like there's like the Gordon Pym of Nantucket, which was a short story that Edgar Allan Poe wrote. It was about these these sailors. Their ship went down, I think, in the Mediterranean, and there was 3 sailors and a cabin boy whose name was Richard Parker. The sailors draw straws to see who's going to survive, and they end up having to kill the cabin boy, and it's a dark story, but fast forward 45 years in the future, there's a ship, and I believe it's in the Mediterranean, that goes down. There's 3 survivors and a cabin boy whose name is Richard Parker, and the same scenario plays out, and that is a freaking fact.
Reoccurring pattern.
Yeah, well, it's like the fact that like that it's just these things. King Umberto of, I believe it was Spain or France or Italy or something, his doppelganger, he's eating at this restaurant, notices that this guy looks identical to him, like identical, and gets to talking to him, finds out they're from the same town, born on the same day, married a woman with the same name. They, among these other things, the day that he took power was the day he opened up the restaurant. So King Umberto is getting ready to give this speech, and finds out that his friend has been killed in a robbery, goes out to give the speech, is assassinated. Like, and so this is what makes me think, like, are we living in a simulation? Or these things, I mean, the odds of this are absolutely astronomical that things, you know, things like this would occur. And maybe it's just because there's billions and billions of things, you know, and maybe it's just those types of things have to occur when you have that many, you know, chances, I guess. But it blows. I spend a lot of time thinking about the type of stuff and manifesting, you know, and speaking things into existence. There is a doctor in Japan that he won, I believe, he won the Nobel Prize. It was for, basically he would take water and he would freeze it, and he would say, like, you know, one thing of water he would say really nice things to, the other one he'd say really bad things to, and then freeze it, and the nice things, they were completely symmetrical, yes, and the other ones were all destroyed. And then they did the same thing with kids. They had this bag of white rice. The kids would say nothing but mean things to it, nothing but nice things. The mean thing, it would brown, start to decay. So your words have power, and you can speak things into an existence, and that's why, you know, they mean something to somebody, and they affect our reality, and it's like that. I think is so terrifying and so cool at the same time, you know, because when you start realizing that, you start to really think about, what do you spend your time thinking about? What do you spend your time worrying about? You know, and so that, you know, it's a lot to. I don't know how we got there from where we were, but you know, it's like.
Well, tell me. I was reading through some stuff. The mural you did of Willie
Oh yeah, Janice.
and Janice.
Yeah,
Tell me about that.
that was I'm sorry. Hey,
So
hey,
that-
maybe give me a Kleenex or something. I
That-
got misty eyed and I got a.
That was on
Seventh and Netchez, yeah,
right?
yeah, and it was so my friend Adam Brewer, he did Heart of Texas Rock Fest, and his office was right there, and he had he called me up, and I'd played in shows like for Heart of Texas Rock Fest and stuff like that, and thank you very much. And excuse me. Am I good?
You look good.
Okay, cool. All right. That would be so embarrassing. But so he called me up and he's like, hey, I got this wall. The landlord here works there. And we had come up with, we kind of, kicking around a whole bunch of ideas. And so we had come up with, and I believe, to be honest with you, I think that it was his idea to do Willie. And I believe in giving credit where credit's due. And so I don't think that was my idea. I think that was his idea. And so we were like, I was like, yeah, let's do that, And I really liked what Willie Nelson stood for and everything. And I did not realize how universally loved that guy is. Like, I'm talking from the homeless people up to like people that got all races, religions, everything love Willie Nelson. It is unbelievable. And so.
An Austin treasure.
Oh man, and so it was during South by or right before it, and we had a week to do it because that's all we had the lift for. So the first year, I had to prime the whole wall myself, and painted everything in a week, and I used a grid system instead of a projector, because the grid you can really get it more precise, but you have to be very meticulous with it. Because the thing is when painting somebody, especially portrait, it needs to feel like them. It can't just look like them. You can't just be like, oh, I know it's supposed to be that person. It has to feel like them, or it loses its power. And people are nice for the most part, so they're not gonna tell you that it's like the thing is, what I've learned is you have to be your own worst critic, because especially in something like that, because if you think something's off a little bit, and other people can see that too, and they may not know what it is, and they may not bring it up, but they can see it too. And so I had to make sure that I was like, it's got to feel like it. So. And I'd never done anything to that scale before or anything, but I figured.
Amazing.
Thank you. And I figured, so you just gotta sometimes I'll just agree to things and then figure out how I'll do it. So I have to do it. I've already committed, and so we did that, and then and it went over really well, and everything. And I mean, these homeless people, it was so funny because a lot of them, I ended up making friends with a lot of these people down there.
Sure, it's right in their neighborhood.
Yeah, dude, and they even offered me cigarettes and food one time, and I didn't take the food or anything, but it was like, because I wasn't hungry, but it moved me, because to them that's all they have, and they were offering this to me, and it was them adopting me into their culture, and I mean I was so moved by it that I was genuinely moved to tears, because I was just like, it meant a lot to me because it was real, and but they would all have the same story about smoking weed with Willie Nelson in Houston in the 1970s. I mean, it was literally like across the board, and the whole time I'm just like, oh yeah, that's crazy, yeah, the whole time, but it was really funny. And then the next year, we decided to do Janice, and we did that, and the same thing. We had a week to do it and everything, and so I did that, and it was cool. I mean, if it wasn't for that. And I'll give Adam total credit on this. And he just lost his brother, which I feel horrible for. But if he hadn't done that, then I wouldn't be where I'm at now. You know what I mean? That really opened a lot of doors for me, and I'm eternally grateful for that. But yeah, it was
What
crazy.
year was that done?
Wait, what is it? 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016. Yeah, wow, that's crazy.
So Willie's 16, Janice 17?
No, Willie's 7. Yeah, Willie's 16, Janice 17. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And they said the meeting last night.
Yeah, and then they had the meeting last night, so that wall's gonna come down apparently. I know, yeah.
We need to get out there and take some pictures.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, I feel bad with that, but it's kind of like, nothing is forever, and and I have the experience of doing it, and I know that I did it and everything, and it would be cool if they could somehow save the wall, like, or something, or move. I could do that mural again somewhere and move it, like, so the same mural someplace, and that's something that we're looking into right now. But yeah, it was kind of cool to have Willie sort of watching over, downtown like that. And
did you ever meet him after doing it?
Never met him. I never met him. It's funny enough. Hyundai, or I think it was the car company, that I did a mural for them, and that had Willie Nelson in it, and I'm scrolling through my Instagram one day, and somebody sends me a link to their page, and they've got a signature Willie Nelson car that has my mural on the hood, and he's signing it. I'm like, nobody's gonna give me a heads up. Like, I'd like to meet him, And but no, I've never met him. We actually know. We have a couple of friends that are somehow, was it related to or by marriage or something, and then
My brother was his pool.
and her brother was his pool guy. So yeah, and I've been out to his ranch and everything, but I've never met him.
I've never met him.
Yeah, I never have. Yeah, I really, I tell you what, like in the
I got his hat one night.
Really? That's cool.
Got rid of the hat afterwards.
That's awesome.
And I gave it to the girls I was with. But
oh man, that's classy. That's a classy move, though. That's a classy move.
I should have held on.
That's a super classy move. What was it? The thing that I love the fact that he sold the song "Crazy" to Patsy Cline for $50.
I thought he didn't sell it. He held on to it.
No, didn't he? He wrote "Crazy," right?
Yeah.
I thought he sold it for $50.
Oh, I thought he held on to it.
Man, I have to look that up.
We need to check.
Because if so, I've been telling people that wrong for years now.
Okay.
Yeah, but man, that's. Let me ask you something. When's your birthday? Oh, I think you're from.
My birthday is March 28th.
March, April. So you're an Aries.
I'm an Aries.
Aries. That makes sense. Like I don't know if you ever get into astrology, but it's I find it fascinating, and like I'll give you an example of like something that, like, for instance, like I've kind of gotten super into it because I like puzzles. Like I like figuring out like that's why I love psychology. I love like getting, like, when I meet somebody, like, small talk, I have, it's lost on me. I don't, like, I get nothing from that. Like, I want to know about, like, what was your relationship like with your parents? Like what makes you, like that undersurface type thing. And with astrology, it's awesome because you can really see that in somebody's chart. And I'll give you an example.
Tell me.
My kiddos, stepdad, we share the same birthday, which is funny enough, November 3rd, and he has so in his chart.
Oh, happy belated.
Oh, thank you. In his chart, his north node, which is it's the node of the moons, and it's kind of like where your soul's purpose to feel fulfilled type thing. But anyways, it's at 9 degrees of Taurus. Well, when you look up that specific degree, it says may marry the sibling of a spouse, and that's exactly what he did. He married his ex-wife's sister, and stuff like that. Like I can give you. Like if you like after this, I'll like, if do you know what time you were born?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, like if your kiddos or whatever, somebody that the time you're born, I can go through there and to where like people actually like have come to me like and you can look at it, and there's certain things you can look for that are indicative of just these, like for instance 15 degrees of Scorpio. If you have any type of planet, especially malefic, which is like Mars, Saturn, something like that, a more negative planet at 15 degrees Scorpio, without a doubt that person has, and I'm talking 99% of the time, has been in a major car accident. It's the weirdest thing, and like to where it actually was like a thing that affected their life, like in whatever direction. And it's with solar returns, like, which is a chart that's cast from your birthday to birthday. If you have the moon and Uranus together in some type of aspect, that's a move. And I can look at it and tell you, like, are you thinking about going back to college? Are you doing this? And every time it hits, and it's just based on these certain types of configurations. And I mean, it sounds crazy, but it is so real. Like I've seen it I've seen it play out in everyday life, like to where it is every single day. I'm like, that's crazy. Astrology's tripped out.
Find out what time I was.
Oh, you have to, man.
Talk to Mom.
It is awesome. Like, your mom's still around?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, my mom is. She just moved down here last year, and she's.
Was she in Missouri?
Yeah, she's in Springfield, Missouri. Yeah.
And so she's here in town.
Yeah, she lives in Buda, right down the road, and it really is having my mom around. It's she's my best. She was always a parent first and a friend second, but my mom is she's she was been my best friend, and for throughout, amongst Karma and my daughter and everything. But my mom is she's a special lady, and it was having her around. I know that I almost lost her a couple years ago to a widowmaker heart attack out of nowhere, and she happened to pull through and survive. But for 2 days there, I thought that she was going to be dead, and I dealt with that, emotionally, and I would look at my Facebook messages, and there would be a time where now she wouldn't respond, and things like the little things that, and so I made a vow to myself to now to really every time she does call, to pick up the phone, to make those little efforts, because if you think about it, let's say you talk to your parents realistically, my mom lives there, so I see her every day now, but normally it would be like I'd talk to her maybe an hour or two a week, So you add up those, how many weeks do you think your mom's gonna live, maybe a couple years, something, you add those hours up, and how many hours does that equal, like, in days? You know what I mean? So, and you're looking at it, you're like, I don't know, like maybe 2-3 days, and that if you think about it, and so when you look at it in those ways, you're like, shit, and there's gonna be a time where I wish that all I could do was talk to my mom, so I really try to take advantage of those times and really be present in the moment and be grateful for what I do, because I feel like that when she did make it through a heart attack, I feel like this is a blessing, or this is a gift that I have right now for her to be down here and stuff.
Gotcha.
And be, watching my daughter grow up and things like that. And so I really, I make a point to laugh as much as I can, and to just overlook the things that drive me crazy. Because one day those things that drive you crazy will be the things that you miss.
Yeah.
So.
Tell me this. So your artistic ability, your musical ability, because we haven't even talked about that yet.
Oh yeah.
Mom's side or dad's side? Or?
Oh, my mom's side. Well, the funny enough is my dad's side. My dad was a truck driver for Anheuser-Busch for like 20 years, and he's great. But he.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he's still alive too. He lives up in Springfield as well, and I'd love to have him down here. But my parents are divorced, but they maintained this great relationship, and so but he's the only one. He could draw Zorro and a brontosaurus, and it was a really bad version of Zorro. But everybody else in my dad's family, they're all artists. Whether it's painting, like sculpting, a lot of folk art type stuff. It was just so strange. And my mother, she was an artist. She actually was in the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, the band that they had the song Jackie Blue, and she was in that band. So she was backup singer and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. And she
love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. And she was.
You don't want me to bust into
Oh,
it.
I love that song, man. And she actually was there at the recording of it, at Rudy Valley Ranch and everything. And my old music manager was their manager. That's how I met him. And but she was a great visual artist too. And she had, she never believed in herself as much as I think she should have. And I think that's what kind of kept her from really pursuing it, and so, but her and my uncle was a brilliant artist, and could fix anything. And my grandfather was a trip. He was Herbert Troutman. He was a Rosicrucianist. So a Rosicrucianist. So Rosicrucianism is a super old thing, like Jesuits old, and they practice transcendental meditation. So he was high up at the Air Force. He was part of the nuclear program, and was at Whiteman's Air Force Base and everything. But he also at the same time was practicing Rosicrucianism, where you would sit there, lay, and then you would visualize yourself looking down at yourself, and then you could go anywhere and everything. And he practiced, and he had this weird way with animals, as far as this it was super real zen. It was crazy, cool, weird shit. And my But they won the Cornerstone of the Community Award twice in Buffalo, Missouri, and they used it as their bathroom doorstop each time. And I thought that was so punk rock, because they didn't give a shit about the award. It was like the deeds is what mattered. And they got this Cornerstone of the Community Award. And I remember as a kid walking in there, and that was just the doorstop for the bathroom. And I just thought that was super cool, man. I was like, that's awesome, dude. That's so punk rock. And like, but yeah, that was. Yeah, they did. The Buffalo, the Dallas County Toys for Tots. So they did that. They started that there, and so every year growing up there, we would go up there for Thanksgiving, and then the next morning we would get up at like 4 a.m. We would go to the Walmart as soon as it was open, and we'd have all the donation money, and we'd buy out all the toys and stuff at the different ages and stuff, and then we would go take it to the courthouse, and everything, and so that's what we did. My whole life growing up is we did the Dallas County Toys for Tots drive, and they were just so great of people that it's amazing, because it wasn't until I got into the real world where I saw that like not everybody is like this, not everybody cares so much for people that they don't even know, and it really, I want, what me and Karma want to do is we want to make doing nice things cool again. Like we want to make like cool, like being nice cool again, to where it's like, you're not idolizing like this bad boy that's like, breaking the law stuff. You're idolizing somebody who's out there fucking helping people that he doesn't even know, like that and doing it selflessly. And like, I think that is so goddamn cool. Like, I think that is so cool. And so we have this thing called Cult of Kindness, where it's like a cult of people that all we do is just go and do nice stuff for people, and it's just this kind of thing we're starting a nonprofit, or we've started one, and that's all it is just you just go and you just make the world a better place for just that reason. There's no other reason to do it. And the idea is
making
that
the fabric of Austin
yeah,
better.
man, and it's contagious. That is contagious. That feeling you get whenever that making somebody shine, like that is contagious. And it's negativity is contagious too, but so is positivity, and that is so contagious. And I just want to spread that good cancer just as far as I can see, and I think that it's possible. I think that people are waking up and are ready to, I feel like we're on the precipice of something very big, and I feel as though like there are choices being made to where you can either live a life that is good and that is helpful and that is meaningful like that, or you can go this way. And each one of them, it's whatever you choose. But I feel like there's at no other time has it been so apparent that things like this are happening. With the amount of information that it's accessible and everything, and it's hard to hide behind certain things. And it's seeing this. It's like I really think that we're ready. It's like almost like moving into the 5D. Like things like that are like out of this three-dimensional world, which sounds crazy, but it's things are happening to where it's just tripped out, man. It does. It's a very exciting time to be alive, and I think it's cool. My hopes are high, so yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I'd love that.
Yeah, but there's as far as the art and music thing, I started skipping class. I started skipping class whenever I was in college. I went to college on art and basketball scholarships, and started skipping class to take mushrooms and teach myself guitar. And I was like, I like this way much more than waking up at 5 and running. And I just kind of just stopped going to class. And I dropped out and bought a van. When I moved back home, I bought a van. Funny enough, the first van I bought, I talked the guy down from 500 to 400. And it was a hand painted mystery machine. So it was the mystery machine, but it was hand painted with like house paint. Oh yeah, it looked so goddamn creepy. Like it was, I don't know what was going on in this van, but I don't think it was anything good. And it was just so creepy, but it was so caked in oil underneath it that it stopped the oil leak. Like it was amazing. But it was there in front of my mom's house, and she's like, obviously he's serious about moving to Austin, so there's no way we're gonna let you go down there in this van. And I mean, I was gonna do it come hell or high water. And so they helped me get a van, and I'd never been to Austin, let alone Texas, and I didn't know anybody, but I felt I wanted to do this. I'd rather die, and I'd rather try and fail than die and wonder what could have been. And never live, man. I can't imagine something like that. And so I was like, screw it. So I just picked Texas, or I picked Austin because it was closer in Seattle or California. I just moved here, and I lived out of my van, and just kind of followed my dream, and it was a weird, rocky, road, but it was beautiful.
This was 2011?
No, this was 2005 when I got here.
Okay.
And so I had my daughter in 2011, and so I just did that, and then and I never really, sometimes I never really questioned though if it would ever work out, because that reality didn't exist in my brain. It was just like, it was, I guess, and I'm no mathematician whatsoever, but I think there's something called the law of averages, where it's like, if you try something enough times, it'll happen. And that's kind of that's what I was betting on. I was like, eventually it'll work out, And so, and I don't have any regrets. I mean, there's things I guess, maybe I wish I would have done different, or maybe things that have happened to people that I've hurt them, but, not purposely, but I'm happy where I'm at right now. And I think if something was done differently, then maybe I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And so I'm grateful for even the bad things that have happened to me, because they've led me to a place that I am happy, and my daughter's healthy and happy, and my mom and dad and Carmen, my loved ones, and I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and I think it's important to stop and tell yourself that every once in a while. It's easy to get down on yourself, or just like, God damn it, I can't believe this happened. But when you look at it, you're like, man, it could be a lot worse. You could be eating mud pies in Haiti, and it's like, and that's a real thing, man. But yeah, so that's kind of how I got to Austin. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
You do make the town better.
I hope so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I kind of do look at it like the world is a canvas, and it's kind of like I feel like I'm artistically peeing on everything, Yeah, so yeah, man, this has been super cool. Like, I really like this a lot.
Oh my gosh, I'm having such a good time.
Yeah, me too. I am. Yeah, I super am.
It's exciting because I don't know where the conversation's going to go.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we've got kind of a framework.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. When we would be on tour, that's something that I loved the most, was when we'd be on tour, we'd be driving around
and you toured all around the country.
Yeah, and we would, and it was three dudes in a van. It wasn't like we didn't have any backing or anything like that. Like, I've slept on the street, like I've done, and that's where I learned that if you Walmart parking lots, you want to sleep in those because they won't kick you out. Like, you can sleep there. And so we would always do that. But one thing I loved was pulling up to the cities for seeing the skyline for the first time, and not knowing how the show was going to go. It could go either really good or it could go really bad, but I like that not knowing. I like that excitement, because it was this element of like, oh, I feel alive, and I like that, that feeling of like, man, this is exciting, I feel young, I feel alive, and the older you get, the more comfortable and the more secure usually you become, but you lose a little bit of that what could happen, what if,
You gotta stay curious.
Yeah, dude, yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely, and I think that's hell, man, it's not the destination, it is totally the journey,
You gotta fall in love with the process.
Yes, absolutely,
right?
Yeah, absolutely, that's great, yeah, and falling in love with the process, and that's the key. It's like why are you doing something? Well, I'm doing it for this. It's like, no, I would do art. I would, yeah, because I fucking love it, man, and I do it if I never got any money for it, I do it. I love helping people, and I love creating, and I love that, and I just, it's like, you think about, like, that's why I love art, is because it exists outside the realm of good and bad. It's bigger than, is this good, is this bad, is this right, is this wrong? It exists beyond that.
It's an expression of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So as long as it's genuine, it's always right. It's always good.
Right.
And it exists beyond that. And I love that so much. That, like, about art,
You can tell it in what you do.
Oh, man, thank you. Like for instance, some guy just sold an invisible statue, okay, for like $18,000. I think that is the most ridiculous, stupid, and awesome thing I've ever heard in my life, because that's why art is so great and ridiculous, is because I mean, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I actually brought 1,000 invisible statues here today for you to you know, and
I particularly like that.
Yeah, that one's my favorite too. And in the picture, they had it was just this red rope around like an area, and I was like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. But that's why art is so cool, is because it exists in this fantasy and reality, and it's art, and it's like. There was a guy in the 60s that he canned his own shit, essentially. Canned it and sold it to these people. Now here's and it's in museums. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for this dude's shit. Like literally, hey, buy my shit. Like that type of thing. But but here's the catch. Nobody really knows if anything's in there. So not only did he sell people his shit or the idea of that, but he may have not even had anything in it. And nobody will open it because it'll make the shit worthless. And so the thing is like where the real art in that is the silver tongue that this dude had to convince people to buy this. And I'm just like, how did that, I mean, I bet that guy's dating was out of this world. Like he was just, I mean, I don't know what he was feeding these people, but I'm just like, what? Like when you hear that, I'm like, that is so ridiculously brilliant and so crazy that it's like that is the type of stuff, that ridiculousness, that absurdity that makes the world a fucking awesome place to be. That it's like it infuriates me at the same time, that makes me rejoice. Like I'm just like, that is just crazy, but it's like at least it just is, man. It's so ridiculous. Like and some people, like the paintings that I'll do, that like I'm like, oh man, dude, I think this was the one. This is the one that's really gonna put it on the map, and nobody likes it, like nobody at all. And I'm like, what? And then I'll do something that I think is so stupid and everything. And like I remember I painted this one painting that said there. It was just 3 there's, like, but all the different ways you spell there, and people really like that one. I'm like, for real, like, you know? And I'm just like, but I'm like, I'm grateful for what anybody likes, you know. But it's just it's funny because it's like I feel like I have my pulse on some type of, you know, heartbeat of something, but it's definitely a pulse of the person that or of whatever that is. It is not the pulse I'm trying to get. Like it's like you know, if that makes any sense. Like it's like, because it's there, but it's not. And so, but yeah, I just, you know, I think like I'll see art in like there'll be different bands where I'm like, there's something about that, like this artist or something. There's something to. I'll give you an example. You know the song "Golden Slumbers" by the Beatles?
Yeah.
You know that part where Paul McCartney's voice just distorts just a little bit in the beginning? It's like "Golden Slumbers," and his voice just distorts just a little bit. That right there, that's fucking art. That part right there moves me and brings tears to my eyes. And it's like, it's just that a diamond is judged by its imperfections. Its imperfections are what make it perfect, because it makes it unique. That is the diamond of that song. And it's like, that's why I love people's weirdness and uniqueness, because that makes them them. Nobody else is like you that's ever been around, and that is what makes you special. If it was a cubic zirconium, if people were cubic zirconiums, and all the same and perfect, that's fucking boring as shit. Nobody wants that, you know? And so I like those things, you know? I like those things a lot. But yeah.
I like the fact that there's more than one color crayon in the box.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
It's okay if you've got a different opinion.
Yeah, man. And
it's all right.
God, could you imagine how boring it would be if everybody had the same opinion? There would be life is not black and white. It is a series of grays, you know, throughout. It is, and anybody who tells you it's black and white is, well, I don't know, but it's like, boring. Yeah, it's boring, man. But yeah, man, I love, all those grays. Yeah, there's that too. Yes, exactly, exactly. You know, so yeah. Say, do you like riddles?
Sure.
What has 4 letters, sometimes has 9, and never has 5?
Four letters, sometimes 9. Never 5.
It never has 5.
I don't know.
It's a statement. When you say it like a statement, what has 4 letters, sometimes has 9 letters, and never has 5 letters? It's not a question, because what is spelled WHAT? That's 4 letters. Okay. Sometimes is SOMETI, that's 9 letters, and never is 5 letters. And so instead of like it sounds like a question, but really you're just stating the fact that what has 4 letters, and sometimes that has 9 letters, and never also has 5 letters, and you're just like, and so the answer is just yes. You know, and it's like, and I heard that on the radio. I was like, oh man, because I like so. And there's also what do you call a singing computer? Adele. I got that one. I got that one off of a Laffy Taffy cover, but that's not really riddle. But I always like that one too. Yeah, man, that's also like. And just out of curiosity, what kind of like what music are you into? Like, what's some of your? What are you listening to right now?
Oh my God! You know, today I listened to Dusty Springfield live from Memphis.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's great. So would you say
and John Coltrane?
Oh yeah.
Supreme.
Was it Coltrane that did the music of spheres, or the where he laid out like he has this graph that I believe it's him, and he has like where all the different notes and the colors arranged to him, or like oh god, I think it's called
Kind of pentatonic scale.
Yeah, but it was something to do. If you look it up, it's like I believe it's Coltrane and not the other jazz.
Not Miles?
Yeah, not Miles Davis, but I believe it's Coltrane. And he does this, he's up there like, I think he was kicking dope or he was on here or something, but he spent like 2 days up in his room and he's writing this and how the music and the notes work in relation to each other, but it's on a wheel, like a bi-wheel, and it's like...
Yeah, I think that's a pentatonic.
Yeah, but what does it say?
Pentatonic scale.
Because I don't think it was just the pentatonic scale. It had something to do with the different
Diatonic scales fitting the course playing lines. So it's the Coltrane pentatonic scales.
Okay, so it is that, yeah. Because we're developing an app that is being as I like astrology. I was in my office one day, as I refer to the bathroom, you know, and so I was in the bathroom, and I had my guitar, and I started thinking about the correlations between, you know, there's 12 houses in the zodiac sign. There's 12 notes in a scale. Mercury takes 88 days to do its thing. There's 88 keys on the piano. All these different things, and I thought to myself, well, what if we had an app where you'd upload your information, and you know, like normally it gives you your birth chart, you know. Well, what this would do is it would take all the same information, and it would give you your birth song. So it's the way it's all completely transposed.
Your song.
Yeah, and it would be like all the aspects in your birth chart, if they were transposed into music, what they would sound like, the dissonant and the harmonious ones, and what they would sound like in a birth chart. And so we started developing this app, and I went through and we looked up like Pythagoras' was the music of the spheres and everything. And yeah, and so like how to do this and everything. So we're in the middle of it, but yeah, this is the thing, the John Coltrane one. It was I think it's the John Coltrane draws a picture illustrating the mathematics of music. And so it was this right here.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. That'd be a cool poster. But yeah, and it just, I mean, the genius, the brilliance that goes into that is fucking fascinating. It's intimidating, and like, but yeah, because with synesthesia, because when I was a kid, I would see like the number 4 always had this blue color to me. Like the way I learned how to play piano and guitar and stuff was I would listen to stuff in A minor. If a song was in A minor, it would always have this lavender type color in my head. All right, and so D minor is this jade green. E minor is this phthalo blue, and so I was able to find that same color on the keyboard, you know, and I would learn how to play like that. And so I got thinking, I was like, I wonder if the way I see these colors, if that was the way that because what's crazy is the planets actually create tone. So there's a note that specifically goes to every planet and everything, and the orbital patterns of planets and stuff. They're congruent with seismatic seismatic patterns and everything, and or cymatic patterns, and so we started sort of just investigating all this and kind of getting a feel for it. And on my piano at home, if you ever come over, like you'll see it's got like E flat, like it's got all these it's got Scorpio or like Taurus written on this one, and so I have them right there. And then Karma, she got on ChatGPT and put in what we were trying to do for the Logic program. And so it told her how to exactly go and these different processes as far as doing that and setting up the tracks to do it. So now we've got it set up to where we can actually create these songs, and we're kind of figuring out, we want to make it simple at first and kind of do it to where, like, you've got the suns, you've got your main planets, your house placements, and then the aspects would be, or the melody line would be like the different aspects that are happening during the chart and everything, and then going from there. And it's still in its like toddler stage, but
We've
it's
never made an app before, so
yeah.
really now we're looking like it's a lot to.
Well, I bet we can find you
Oh man, but I think
someone to help.
Dude, I think it would be so cool, like, because you could actually
The song of your soul.
Yeah, the song of your soul, and you could actually see later on if people who had similar birth charts or the same aspects, if their soul song sounded similar, and then if it manifested in their personality in similar ways. Was their personality similar to this person who had the same kind of soul song like this, and kind of seeing how all that works, because I believe the three universal languages are music, mathematics, and astrology or astronomy. All those different things, and how they working together and with each other, and yeah, so it was.
Yeah, sacred geometry.
Yeah, sacred geometry. It's a trip too, man. Like Pythagoras was a trip. Like, he was definitely made a cult of music, and a cult of numbers, and like numerology and all that stuff. Like, your birthday is you said March 28th of what year?
64.
So that was January, March. So 3, 20. What would that be? Numerology was. I'm horrible at math. I bet if I was gonna guess. Oh wait, here's your phone, baby. I'll toss you. I bet if I was gonna guess.
21 and 2. So 2, 5, 7, 8.
Yep, I was gonna. Yeah, because eight's the financial one. Eight is financial abundance and stuff like that. And as far as
80's an 8.
yeah, 80's an 8 as well. So each one, it's interesting. So like, so I'm a 7. 7 is like the seeker of knowledge, like wanting to just insatiable thirst to learn things like that. 9 is the completion, so you've got a little bit of all these. And then 6 is the home, very family oriented, everything like that.
Caretaker.
Caretaker. My mom's a 6. 5 is change. It's kind of like, there's also with 5, which is interesting, is almost every single 5 we know is gay, which is like, and basically 50%, yeah. And,
wow.
And it's like basically 5 is about like being honestly who you are, and being in the face of adversity, stuff like that, but being genuine to who you are. 3 or 4 is the builder. So and like people that projects and everything is like that. But
The artist.
yeah, no, 3 is the artist. And which is interesting about that is my address is 5601, and that comes out to a 3, which is, I just think it was cool. It was interesting because that's the number of creativity and art and things like that. And 2 is the team player, like people do a lot of bringing things together. And 1 is a leader and everything. And so it's but it's fascinating when it parallels. What I found with astrology and numerology is they parallel with Enneagram, with Myers-Briggs, with all those things, all those personality tests. They parallel with them, and it's fascinating. So it's kind of like our human design. It's kind of like
religions. They all are promoting a higher spirituality.
Yeah.
But they do it in different ways.
Yeah. It's all roads lead to Rome, and those are just different roads that people are going there with, But yeah, I think, it's pretty cool. Yeah, but
This has been pretty cool.
no, man, it's a great time. It's super great time. Yeah,
This is so awesome.
yeah, it really has been. Thank you so much.
Wiley, thank you for
Man, dude, Bobby.
being a guest on Bobby G's Big
dude,
Stone ATX.
anytime. That's fucking great, man. Yeah, right on.
We're out.